Welcome to 42 Fishing and Lures. This is the finished product of an 8.5 inch Swimbait Murray cod, yellow belly, well, probably not yellow belly really, but who knows, but definitely a mulloway, flathead, big jewies will engulf these. Let's go back in time and see where it all began. First things first, we have to prep the mould. The mould is obviously rubber because it's really flexible. What I do is I take my paintbrush, Vaseline. I believe you can use any sort of oily liquid, but I reckon Vaseline works really well. The reason I'm doing this is because it is a rubber mould. It doesn't always have a nice finish on it when the plastic comes out of the mould. It sort of becomes a bit dull. You want that nice shiny finish because it looks a lot better to the eye. When it's in the water, it doesn't matter what the finish because it's going to look the same in the water. It's going to look nice and shiny in the water because of the principles of the way the water works. Don't ask me the questions how they work because I've got no idea. If you do know, leave a comment. We'll both get educated, I suppose. Now it's time to sound like Darth Vader and put the safety gear on. I do apologise if you can't hear this very well, but safety first. Turn the fan right up. The drawer of the fan sucks all the fumes out from the plastic out to the wide blue yonder.
Turning away, warming up slowly, and it'll be good. Had a little bit of time in the microwave. Yes, it explodes open. It's going to get quite bubbly, which is good because I'm going to show you how I get rid of all my bubbles as well. Put those lumps in there. Probably give it another 30 seconds or so. I'll get back to you when it's nice and hot. As you can see, it gets quite bubbly as I'm doing this, which is fine. When it gets nice and hot, all the bubbles disappear. I do like using a cold spoon. Don't know why, it just works better I find. When I say spoon, I mean knife as well. Build the outside, the hard parts, take in the middle, give it a stir. Up on the edge. Tip to tip. (330 Fahrenheit), which is 165 degrees. This is a cheap heat gun as well. 180 degrees. So, good old 180 degrees, we can cook some chicken now. Let those bubbles settle in a minute, and we can pour it. When I pour it, I always use 2 gloves, just in case I stuff up. Not too fast, not too slow. That's nice and level at the moment. Obviously it's going to, when it gets cooler, it's going to decompress a bit. So, it's going to shrink. There'll be a big cavity in the top. I don't want that, so I'll put a top up in it in a minute. When I do it though, I'll use a hot, make that a lot hotter so I can do it. So it just pierces through the top layer quite nicely. All the bubbles are coming up. All the bubbles go away. See some bubbles rising at the moment, which is good. They will go away. Really careful not to, don't want to overflow it too much. Keep watching for bubbles. I'll throw it in the freezer in a second to try and cool down. Let a bit of a skin form on the surface first so I don't make a mess. It's now sitting in my chest freezer because I want it to cool down faster. Okay, so now I'm taking the elastic bands off. Pops open. It's going to come out nicely. Bear with me for a second. It'll just pop out. Tail's always going to cool down nicely at the start. That's what it looks like out of the mould. Still quite warm and soft, so I'll place it in the water. Water's nice and cold. Let it sit there for, say, I don't know, 15-20 minutes. And I'll pull it out and we can have a proper look at it. So it is now out of the little bucket. Gotta say, it turned out quite well. Couple of bubbles in there. Most of them are gone, which is good. Quite happy with it. Now I'm going to add some eyes to it. Take out the magnet in there, replace it with a good one. A little bit of Loctite gel for the eyes. Let it sit for another day and it'll be ready to use. Okay, so now we need to take out the magnet quite easily. Alright, so I've taken the magnet out. I'm now applying some super glue on the internals. Put the new magnet, the fresh magnet, back into it. Push it in nice and tight so it stays nice and flush. I'll let that sit for a while. Now what we do, take some Loctite gel. I'm going to experiment with different kinds of glue because Loctite gel is bloody expensive. This little 3 gram container, $12, $10, depends where you go. I need a very little amount. Put some eyes on. Take this eye off.
Using a gold eye because it looks more like a mullet. For flathead, if they're chasing cod with it, well, it just sticks out, I suppose. Do the other side. And my phone goes. Call that bloke back in a minute. Only a little bit. Try to take this off without pulling the backing off it. That worked out well for a change. Sometimes these stickers, they pull off the board or pull off the paper, but they decide to leave the backing on it, which is very annoying. Bit of a wiggle. Let it sit there. Make sure the eyes are nice and parallel. Bit of a squeeze, push it down. There we go. Nice little eye on it. Now what we do, a little bit of flashing on the top, give that bit of a trim, nice and easy, just to make it look better. This one, all I need to do now with this, pull out the old UV texter, make sure it's a good one. UV texter, it's just a spike it glow texter, and where the gills are, give it a bit of a UV flare to it along the lateral line. Really not too sure how well it stays on with when it gets wet and stuff, but I know at the start it looks pretty cool. So I'll run that down there, run it over the gills, pull out the UV texter, pull out the UV light, and hopefully it picks up on camera. A little bit of flare. Assuming it picks up on camera, don't know. We'll find out when I see it. Onto the glue dryers. I get some more Loctite gel and I'll apply it where the magnet is. I need the super glue to dry first. The Loctite gel stops the magnet from getting wet. Less chance of getting rusty as well, because everyone knows magnets and fresh water or salt water doesn't really mix very well. And that's the finished product. If you liked the video, please subscribe. If you didn't like it, say hi anyway. If you did like it, give it a thumbs up as well. Thanks very much, guys. Talk to you next time.